Howdy. What is going on, y'all? Today is Thursday, and we have back in Biceps today. So it's going to be a good day. Going to the Y today. I only really like to say, like, where I'm going if it's at, like, a very well-known gym, because the gyms I like to go to, like, I really like to go to, I don't like to publicly announce them because, let's say for some reason this video gets 2 million views, and let's say I was going to my other gym, then I wouldn't have as much, what's that called? Not isolation, not solitude, but there would just be way more potential people at that gym. You get what I mean? So it's like, because a lot of the reasons why I like going to my other gyms is because they're not as well known as these other gyms. So, I like the quote unquote, I don't know what you would call it because it's not isolation, but it's just less people at a gym, and the less people there is at a gym, in my opinion, the better. That's why I think a lot of guys and whatnot like to go to the gym late at night, because it's an empty gym, and empty gyms are 10 times better. It's like the best feeling ever is when you're going to a gym. What is that? You're going to a gym at I've done this before. I haven't done it in a while because it doesn't fit my schedule. But I've been to the gym at 2 a.m, right? And I think there was one other person there. But a few times I've been to a gym late at night. There was one time I was at the gym at 3 a.m. at one time because I was going before school. And I just woke up really early that day or something because I went to bed really early that night. And there was legit nobody there. And it was so awesome. It was I had my own, I owned my own private gym. And I'm like, dude, this is how Sam Sulik, whenever he goes to his gym, how he feels every time. Going to a public gym is one thing. It's public or private. You have people there that can help you with assisting reps or, whatever not. But you don't have to wait for machines. You're not distracted by anything else. Because sometimes when I'm doing my exercises, I'm not distracted at all. I'm really locked in. But sometimes I'll just glance my eyes at what's happening around me, just because I always want to be aware of my surroundings. Where did that guy go? But yeah, so I can sometimes get, it's also my ADHD. Sometimes I just get distracted, like I said. But I would just love a private gym, man. To own a gym, that'd be so dope. But if I had, one of my dreams, like I said, is always just being able to afford a warehouse gym, maybe not even a warehouse gym, like a garage gym where I can just have that gym to myself, have the vibe that I want, that old grungy type of feel. I'd be able to record some dope videos at that gym, dude. I would get an old VHS camera or something and then make some edits and stuff out of that. That'd be cool. You know what I'm saying? That'd be really cool. But yeah, man, I'm excited, for today and for what the future holds, man. That's the great thing about living, You don't know what's gonna come the next day. I don't even know what's gonna come during this workout. I might PR and who knows, you never know until you do it. So I'm kind of spewing nonsense right now, but other than that, let's get to it. Alright, so the first set, we got a chest supported upper back, mid back row. So as you can see, this is usually for the lats, but I used a different grip where my arms are going to be more flared out a lot easier. So it's just like a overhand grip, you could say. But making sure you're flaring your arms out when you're doing this to hit the most upper, mid, back when you do these. Retract your shoulder blades each time. And then since I kind of went a little heavy on this, I just did a drop set. But today, I only did one set, just really squeezing and controlling that muscle the whole time. Now we're going to do 1 set of pull-ups always, and then just going to mainly just keep our arm and our elbows in when we do this. Try to drive for our hips when we're doing this movement, making sure our arms don't flare out again, and just go to failure once again. Do some partials at the end. I did 2 sets of these, and we're going to just be targeting the lower lat primarily, but the second set I just went a little lower because I didn't get that, full lower lat contraction like I wanted to, but just get a deep stretch, do unilateral movement to target each lat a lot better just by getting a better squeeze in general, and that's really much it. And then make sure your elbow is going towards your side as hard as you can. Train to failure once again for a couple sets. Now we're going to be trying to target the upper back, which is the upper traps, and we're just going to be shrugging upwards explosively and then controlling on the way down. Don't shrug and roll your shoulders forward when you do this, so that's really much it. And now we're going to be doing cross body curls to really target the brachialis and long head. And just make sure you're really just being explosive on the way up, trying to control as much as you can on the way down. These are 60, so I went a little heavy for these, but it's just hitting the whole bicep overall when I'm doing this heavy. And just make sure you're not swinging it too much on the way up or on the way down. So, like I said, just go to failure once again for 1 set. Now, if your gym doesn't really have a good preacher curl machine or even just a preacher curl in general, this is a really good substitute for that. So we're just going to be doing a set of these, just really squeezing that bicep on the way up, getting a deep stretch on the way down, and training to failure for 1 set once again. Now we're going to be doing 2 sets of these as well. Just really getting a good squeeze to the top. Everybody says you don't move your elbow or whatever on this movement, but I like to move my elbow just a little up when I do this movement, a little forward, so I can get just a better squeeze to the top like you'll see right there. Make sure you're choosing a moderately light weight when you do these because we don't want to tear anything. Go all the way down when you do these because that's the best way you can get the stretch on this exercise right here. And like I said, we just did 2 sets, both till failure once again. All right, done with the workout. Very good workout today, especially at the end. I did those double kind of bicep curls or whatever, the single arm D handle curls. Peak. I used to do those before, but so when I mean workout, however you feel the workout, right? But don't ego lift, obviously. But like, if you don't feel a workout, obviously it's not for you, or change something in it, right? Before, I've always done those. The stretch always felt good, but I never felt the squeeze. When I do that exercise without any weight, without even using the D handle, I just do it, free weight, I never feel it until I did this yesterday. I was doing that exact thing yesterday, exact motion, and then I brought my hands like, you're going like this, and you usually stop like, it's kind of hard to show you, but like, usually stop like right here. But today, I was like, let me just, and I did that. And I did that today. So much more squeeze when I did it that way. So I'm doing it that way from now on. And because every way I've heard it, it's like, don't go that far up because you're using a lot of your shoulder. But I didn't feel my shoulder at all when I did that movement. All I felt was a squeeze in my bicep. Constant tension. And then the stretch felt great. So I'm going to keep doing those every time now. They're a great exercise. But, so like I said, just if you don't like an exercise, maybe try to perform it differently, right? Because if the popular mass likes it, you are most likely going to like it. And sometimes that's not always true. Sometimes you just don't like the stuff the popular masses like, which is definitely true. A lot of people love the bench press. I hate the bench press, that type of thing. So It just depends on what you want to do, right? But I got to ask you guys a question to kind of go off topic, but, you know, at the same time, I've heard a lot of questions about this kind of topic and everything, and it made me always think, like, who would pick that option? But there's some people who would. If you got $10 billion today, no, never mind. If you got infinite money today that you could do whatever you want with today, but then tomorrow you die and you don't wake up, what would you pick? The money or to live on still? I would hope 99% of you say, I want to live and screw the money. Think about that. You would rather live another day than have infinite money. Think about that. So why would you not wake up every day with that same mentality? That same mentality to push yourself, the same mentality to work hard in every aspect that you can. The only people that I know, I don't really know them, but, you know, if I had to think somebody who would pick that money, it would be somebody on the verge who wants to die, right? They don't care about waking up the next day. They kind of hope they don't. So, you know what I'm saying, man? Even I think people, now I can't speak this from, 100% of my own experiences, but I think even people who, quote unquote, want to die would still pick to live on to the next day. Now, I can't say that for certain for everybody, but I know for people who want to live, who want to experience things, that they wouldn't pick the infinite money. But think about that. You would rather live one more day for sure than have infinite money. And think about that. You wouldn't even know if you would survive the next 2 days. You could die that week. But you still took a chance. So you might as well take a chance and commit to all your dreams. I've said this before. I gotta think of how I said it before, because I said it very factually incorrect. And go to like, are you kidding me? This dude just took a right turn the most annoying way in the semis. I hate semis. Back on track though. There is more luck in waking up than there is in being in reality of your dreams. I didn't say it exactly like that, but basically meaning there's more luck in waking up the next day than there is accomplishing your dreams. There it was. Meaning, you have a 50-50 chance of waking up. Could, or you cannot. It's not always promised, right? It's on God's terms, right? But your dreams have less of a random chance than you do waking up. That means, sure, if you're a 5'4" dude who is fat, you're probably not making the NBA, right? But if you have a vision in your head that you know that you can accomplish, and at least you know that there's going to be a lot of bumps in the roads that are going to give you complications, that's going to make you think, that's going to make you work around those things, you will accomplish it. For me, I want to go to the Mr. Olympia one day. I want to be a bodybuilder. One of the paths I'm going on is towards that road. And one of the things that I'm going through right now is injuries. That's just going to be part of the process. That's going to be part of being a bodybuilder. That's going to be part of growing in these phases of life where I'm not always going to be 100% healthy. I'm sometimes going to have my lower back messed up. Sometimes I'm going to have my knees messed up. Sometimes I'm going to have my shoulders, my biceps, or whatever. But I always have chances to work around them and execute what I want to. Not always 100% according to plan, but as much as I can. Right? And at least if I know, I 100% know in my head that I tried my hardest for the things I could try my hardest in, what do I have to be disappointed about? I might say that didn't go according to plan, but I tried my ass off. And you've heard this saying so many times about, well, you may not always win, but you tried your hardest. And you heard those things as a kid. You might have not put it in actual perspective, but that's so true. Because let's say this, you go home at the end of the day, right? You work 40, 50 hours for a company that you hate working at. Okay, I've done the same thing I've always done for 5+ years now, and I haven't felt any sort of accomplishment. No, I have food on the table, I guess. Yeah, that's one thing. But let's say you said, I took a chance on a business that didn't go according to plan. I didn't make very much money. I didn't do very well in my succession. And I didn't get exactly what I wanted to. But I tried. I tried to make something out of nothing. And that's something you can say that a lot of other people have in their life. I've been reading a book called The Psychology of Money. It talks about, strategies of money, history, certain words and definitions, psychology itself. And I've always loved psychology. But the one thing that stood out to me was it was a article, or not an article, but it was a section about how a little by little can create so much momentum, and it can create something huge. Like little pieces add up and sometimes are unfathomably like successful. The main one was talking about like storage and computers and stuff. How the first really, crazy thing was the MacBook, and we only had 6 gigabytes worth of storage. And now we have over like 1,000 terabytes worth of storage. Think about that. Something that no one could have predicted was, in so little of a thing, about storage in a computer hard drive. And it turned into that. So your days where you go to the gym, you wake up every day, you're like, man, I don't see any progress. Maybe, honestly, I'm fatter, if anything. Well, for one, that's body dysmorphia probably talking to you. But 2, eventually the progress will add up. Right? These little pushes of success is going to turn into something huge. Right? Because, yes, a lot of things aren't in your control, but the things that are in your control, you have 100% control of. I have 100% control of my hands right now. I could rub them together, clap, and let's say, like, this beanie, I can't control it to go magically up and stay up. It's not going to do that because I have no control. So why would I worry if this beanie couldn't stay up? I'm not going to worry about that. Just do as much as you can to make that beanie stay up. Do as much as you can to succeed in these goals that you have. Because at least at the end of the day, if you've tried your hardest, you have nothing to be ashamed of. I remember back in the day when I first started in the gym, people would clown on me for going to the gym. Think of that. Trying to make myself a healthier, better, stronger person, and I got clowned on. And guess what? Now these people are asking me for advice. These people are, I guess you could say, quote unquote, proud of me. These people are, maybe they envy me. But that what they don't know is all the times where I just pushed through that mental barrier of them making fun of me, and the mental barriers of myself and the physical barriers of myself each and every day when they didn't see it. They only saw a story of me, posting a pump picture, whatever. But they didn't know I had to do the reps to get that pump. They didn't know that I was doing all this in the dark, right? I know that these little steps of success lead to a door that's going to lead me out to success, right? So you've heard the saying too, nothing really matters in life, right? And you could look at that like, oh, nothing matters in life. Everything sucks. Or you could look at it as in, I could do whatever I want then. If nothing truly matters, these people's opinions definitely don't matter. These people's opinions, these people's, whatever not. It doesn't matter, man. if you have people in your life who, you know, let's say back in 5th grade, you knew these people, right? And you want to be a health nut now. You just care only about health right now in your life and, you know, whatever not. And you kind of like, you know, not despise being around these people, but you see patterns in these people and you're like, I don't want to be around these people much. And this isn't like a personal story of mine. I'm just kind of saying, you know, general purpose. But I mean, I've had people in my life where I had to start avoiding these people because, for one, I didn't have anything in common with these people anymore. And two, I just knew I wasn't going to get where I wanted to be, right? And I'm not saying don't, like, this is the most stupid thing ever. I hate when people leech off of other people's success. Like, they're little bloodsuckers, dude. They just, ooh, success there. Like, bro. Because a lot of those people aren't genuine either, and they're not conscious beings, dude. That's the scariest thing, is these people can act and they can say that they're conscious and they have all these, all they want is success and money. And that's the weirdest thing about, like, this world too, is I know I'm kind of getting off topic right now, but just the people that are in this life that you see, there's copies of everyone everywhere. It's the weirdest thing ever. And as you get older, because I know some people who are 13, 14 that are watching my videos and stuff, but as you get older, you'll realize that, like I just said, there's copies of everyone everywhere. You know, they're not identical, right? But you'll see traits in people, right? You'll be like, well, that guy's douchey. That guy's awfully egotistical. That guy's a great guy. You know, you'll see those common traits in people. So just make the right decisions, y'all. That's all I gotta say. One step in front of the other. That's it at the end of the day. I know I kind of got off topic right there, but I just kind of want to spill you a little unk knowledge, 20-year-old unk knowledge. Just stuff I've gained in my life with just not only this whole thing about life, but also just stuff I learned in the gym, because the gym is my greatest teacher, other than God, right? He's my greatest teacher. But he's given me the tools to allow me to be at this place. He's shown me what discipline is, what, you know, overcoming challenges are, all the things that you need to learn as a man, especially. And I'll say that if you don't go through these things in life, you will never, for one, you're not going to be relatable. So it's hard to get, you're going to find a hard time meeting a lot of real people. Because what I've seen is a lot of the people who are very fake are around a lot of fake people. And then they never grow themselves because they're in like a fake reality. They're not even themselves. Right? That's why I love the gym, because a lot of people at the gym are just real people. Right? They go through stuff and they've disciplined themselves. They work on something that maybe nobody else saw except them. Right? My whole goal with this working out stuff was I wanted to look like Baki. You know what I'm saying? I like, I'm not there yet. I mean, I've taken a picture. I'm like, oh wow, I'm actually pretty close. You know, not yet though, not yet. Still got a little bit longer to go, but that's the great thing about this whole journey is once I do reach, I'm like, okay, I've reached my dream goal as when I was, you know, 16. Could I look like Yujiro Hama next? And then maybe if I reach Yujiro Hama, it's like, okay, could I look like, you know, I don't know. I think I would love to look like Yujiro Hama, dude. Because, like, okay, I know I'm getting so off topic. So, this is my last thing. I would much rather look like Yujiro Hama than, like, Biscuit Oliver in that show. I have a friend who wants to do bodybuilding as well. And he likes the open guys much more than the classic guys. And I've always said this. Why would you like the open guys much more than the classic guys? Because the open guys, I think some of them look awesome. But they're just so wide in the waist from the HGH gut thing. And then they're just super blocky looking. Just not my favorite type of physique. I want the physique that, like, has a flow to it. It's like, up here is broad, and then you have the super slim waist, and then you have it's like the X frame, if you know what I'm talking about, if you know what bodybuilding is, but that's so much better. But that was my last thought for the day. I know I spewed unk knowledge, and then we talked about Baki, and then we talked about how what my dream physique was when I first started, so you guys got a lot of info in 17 minutes. Oh gosh. Okay, this video is gonna be long. I hope you guys have a very blessed day. Keep your stick on the ice, as Troy Dan says. I haven't watched that dude in forever. I hope he's doing well. Goodbye.